I just realized something recently, and what I realized is it's been 10 years. It's been about 10 years since I have been excited about my job. I loved my job. I had goals, I had momentum, I was excited. I couldn't wait to tell people where I worked. But that's really changed, and I no longer feel that way. And the fact of the matter, it's changed because companies in corporate America, and so I'm asking the question today, has it been worth it? Has everything that I've given up for my career been worth it? And I don't know. I don't think the answer is no, but here's what I'll tell you. There's some things I definitely would have done differently. So let's get started on this video. Kind of share a little bit of the backstory is I have a good career. And I've been able to accomplish a lot of things. Everything, every space that I wanted to be in, pretty much every company that I wanted to work for, I have been able to do that. So I'm happy about that. And I'm still in demand. I mean, just recently I was approached by some of the world's best companies and was a finalist in for a role at one of these companies. I didn't end up getting the job, but just you know what? Just to show you how much things have changed is I didn't really even care. When I realized I wasn't gonna get an offer, I kinda was like, "Hey, thanks for calling. Enjoy the experience. No big deal." And here's why, because jobs in corporate America are transactional, and that's the way you need to look at you trading time for a paycheck, and that's what you're doing. And they could rip, this away at any time. There used to be companies just don't do it anymore, but there used to be like a path to, promotion, and there used to be mentorship and all this kind of thing. In fact, I was part of it at one of my companies that I work for. I was nominated for really it's called the leadership program. I think it was 2011. And I was nominated for it and I participated in it. And we would have quarterly offsite 4-day training classes on really prepping us and grooming us and training us to be promoted and the next leader level of leadership at this company. It just doesn't happen anymore. So I think the first thing and the first insight is it worth it? I don't know. I think it's worth it to realize and level set and just accept the fact. And that's where I've come emotionally. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have been very stressed out and worried about losing my job and really just all wrapped up in a title, but no longer. I'm just no longer there. And I'm past the whole layoff thing. And I want everybody to move to a place of acceptance. And that's where I have landed. And so if I get laid off, hey, great. In some ways, I can kind of, in a way, it would be great if I got laid off because then I could go full bore into YouTube, which leads me to my next point. Another thing that I would have done differently and I think would have been more worth it as maybe not as secure, but I would have worked for myself. I gave up a lot because, again, I'm not married. I didn't concentrate on relationships. I didn't concentrate on things outside of work. And so here I am at 55 years old, not really, I just didn't get the opportunity to build a family and have a marriage and all those kind of things. And I maybe would have been a little bit more concerned and put more effort and focus into that part of my life. So from that standpoint, I'm not unhappy. I'm somebody who's very happy and enjoy, everything. I could spend the entire weekend alone and I know how to make myself happy. So it's not a regret, but it would be something that I would have spent more time developing. I also would have probably developed my true passions a little bit more. Do I really think that being a salesperson in tech is my calling and what God wanted me to do? No, I don't. In many ways, I'm surprised that I've been able to make it in corporate America as long as I've been able to make it, and then I still get phone calls. So for that, I'm very fortunate, but I really don't think that that's my true calling. I think I'm much more of a creative person. And I would have fostered that talent and I would have fostered that interest much more. So that is a regret or a different approach that I would have taken that I know now that I didn't know then. I would have done that differently. And I encourage everybody if you've got something that's kind of like knocking and speaking to you a little whisper, a little voice or whatever, listen to that voice because, that's probably where you're going to get more satisfaction out of life and more delight. Many of you may know this or not know this, but I did have a heart attack about 10 years, it was 10 years ago in December, I had a heart attack. I had a widowmaker attack and I could have easily died really at that time. And I remember since then, or thinking at the time, having really been faced with that, is the only regret I would have had I, not survived, would be I didn't have enough fun in life and I didn't do enough to develop memories and relationships and things like that. And so I was lucky that, God has other plans for me and I've been able to, you know, still be alive and thrive. And in many ways, I'm a lot healthier than I was back in 2015. But that is something that I'm much more focused on now, is really developing opportunities to laugh and to have fun and to enjoy and get to know other people and really live the part of life that matters. It's not this corporate stuff. So that's something else that I would share, and an insight that I would provide. Now, in closing, or really the last part, you're not supposed to say in closing because I want you to stay for this part of the video. But recently we heard the story about Campbell's soup and the CEO talking about, his food. Really, he said some other things about his customers, but he talked about basically that he's feeding his product is crap and they're putting bioengineered food and 3D printed meat into his food. But we're learning a valuable lesson. And I really like what's coming out of the corporate or Campbell's soup story. And that is a back to fundamentals. It doesn't cost a lot of money. And if that doesn't push you to learn how to cook and start eating better and enjoying nourishment, good food, but it's a fundamental, good, healthy food, and learning to cook and sharing meals is a basic value. And I think it nourishes your body and it nourishes your soul. And you can really develop a lot of valuable experiences and connections and exchanges with other people through things like food and things like just having quiet time and a cup of coffee with somebody and maybe slowing down the pace of life and just, turning the TV off, listening to music. How refreshing is just to listen to a beautiful melody, a song, all of those things. Very, very simple things in life, I think, are the most valuable. And what do they say? The best things in life are free. I really do believe the best things in life are free. And it's practically next to nothing to get a, bag of flour out, some water, some salt, and some yeast, and bake a beautiful loaf of bread and break bread with somebody and really foster and develop and nourish and water those things in life. So, has it been all worth it? I've been able to achieve some financial security, some build up some assets, again, having great experiences, but I would have done things much differently in had it to do all over again. And so that's what I would encourage everybody, and those are the insights that I feel like I can share. Was it worth it? Do I have regrets? The answer is no, I don't think it's worth it. That's where I'm going to land. Anyway, have a good one. Talk soon.